Hi, I'm Quinn, and this is Open Awareness Yoga. And today we're going to be working with strength along the entire backside body. And why do we want to do this? Because it counteracts this shape that a lot of us, myself included, like to lounge in. This stuff is actually incredibly difficult for me, so I'm in it with you today. And we'll need a few props like normal. You need your tie or your yoga strap. This will be useful if it's difficult for you to reach your feet. You'll need a towel or a yoga blanket. We'll start by rolling it up. So if you want to go ahead and do that, I'll tell you how in a minute. And you'll need either one yoga block or two if you're in a tight body. If you don't have yoga blocks, you can use hardback books. And then go ahead and identify which of your hardback books is thicker. Like longer really, because we'll want to use the one that's got the most width to it here. And so to get started with our first pose, might be something that you've done with me before. You're going to take your towel or blanket and from one of the ends, roll it up. And we're going to lay down over this because we're starting to take back bends, open up the backside body. So set it across your practice space so that there's room for your head and shoulders on the top side of it. And then you'll come to lay down right over it. And it'll be about the mid-back, right beneath the shoulder blades. And your shoulders and head land on the floor on the top side of the blanket roll. And if your low back feels uncomfortable, pick up your buttocks, scoot it towards your heels. And you've got plenty of options with the lower body. So you can keep the knees bent and the feet on the floor, especially if you're tender in your low back. Some of you might like to straighten your legs out long. I get a little bit more opening in my chest when I do this. Others of you might want Baddha Konasana, many people's favorite pose to start in. So soles of the feet come together and knees wide. Really, we're focusing on the upper body right now. You're an entire unified system. So enjoy. And point your nose to the sky and close your eyes. Or if you prefer to have your eyes open, just let your gaze become focused on one spot on your ceiling. And let the vision fuzz around that spot. And tune into your breath, breathing in and out through your nose if possible. And allow the imprint of the towel roll beneath you to move into the body. Smooth and slow down your breath. And then bring the arms overhead and grasp opposite elbows or hold on mid forearm. And then bring those arms down to the ground behind you. And if they don't land on the ground, that's okay. It might just mean you have some areas of tension in the chest or the upper back. You can just bring the arms overhead with the, like in a Y, like the YMCA shape. And you can always leave them where you had them at your most comfortable as well. Let your body completely let go. Become the full weight of your body with no help of the muscles lifting you off of the earth. And notice which of your forearms is on top, and then change that if you are holding the elbows or the forearms. And return to your breath, smooth and slow and through the nose. Just a couple more moments here. This is a good one to take with you outside of class. Just lay on the floor every once in a while with a roll underneath you. You can even use something thicker and experiment with the height. Just this one pose could change the course of your day. But today, since you've joined for an hour, we'll get to it. So separate the arms, bring them out to a T, bend your knees or bring your knees back to point to the sky. And to come out of this, it might feel weird, but we roll over onto one side and press down through the hand to sit up. And then I would take this blanket roll actually and fold it to make a comfortable seat underneath you. If your knees are lower than your hips sitting flat on the floor, then you're okay sitting flat on the floor. But many people look kind of like this. So we want to lift the buttocks up when we cross our legs. And here we'll get a little picky about our seat, walking you into the yogic version of a meditation posture called Paschimottanasana. You cross at the mid shins. So a lot of people cross at the ankles. This is a different pose. It's okay if you want to cross at the ankles, but just to work you through this one, crossing at the mid shins, flex the feet. So you pull the toes up towards the shins and then bring the feet underneath the knees. Bring your hand one at a time underneath your buttocks and pull the buttocks flush diagonally out and back so that you come on to sit onto the bony sitting bones. And then hold on to your knees here. Pull the knees towards you and reach your chest up and through the arms. So we're starting to find a bit of a back bend in the upper back. Now notice what's going on at your lumbar spine. That's the low back. Do you feel like you're driving the lumbar spine aggressively forward into the belly? If that's you, then drop the sitting bones down heavier towards the floor. So you feel the pubic bone in the front lift up slightly and the sacrum in the back drop down slightly. Now, if you're rocking the other way, if it feels like your tailbone's tucking underneath you, you might find something else to sit on top of, perhaps your block or a stack of your books with the towel on top of that. What we want to feel for is the pubic bone in the front and the sacrum directly behind it are parallel to one another and perpendicular to the floor. And you want to keep that integrity through the low back. And again, pull the arms towards you and lift your heart towards your face. So without shoving the low back forward, we are taking the mid back and bringing it forward into the chest, which helps us lift our sternum towards the sky. Roll the shoulders back and look up. Does it feel like your neck is the continuation of the arching that you're finding in your spine, or does it feel like the head is just dropped back? Now, if it feels like the head is just dropped back, bring the chin slightly closer towards the chest. And imagine that you're looking up and finding this back bend. You're moving your head from the middle of your back. That the root of the head is at the middle of the spine, and you're feeling that arch and lift from the middle of the spine. This isn't necessarily easy. Breathe. Check and notice if you're holding your breath. We'll hold it for just one more breath. Deep inhale. Deep exhale. And settle back in. Look forward. We're going to take a twist from here. So if you're uncomfortable with the legs as you set them, go ahead and find a comfortable cross-legged seat. And here, twist to your right. So you'll bring your right fingertips behind you. If the floor feels far away, grab one of your books. Place your fingertips on that. Left hand to the outer right knee. And before you twist too far, feel that your two sitting bones are pressing down into the earth and that left sitting bone isn't scooting forward of the right. Really ground down through the left sitting bone. And from there, lift the spine up towards the sky and twist a little deeper to the right. And now here I'm going to ask you to find a bit of that same back bend that you were just working with. So from the mid back, can you arch and lift, expressing more of the chest and sternum to the sky, and even pressing your head back. And if this is bothering your neck, or if you're feeling tight or sore in the neck, just make your neck and head comfortable. It doesn't have to be part of the equation. Really work with that mid-back. So that's where we had the blanket roll. The bottom tips of the shoulder blades are slightly beneath. We're holding this for a while. Continue to breathe. If you've lost that smooth, slow breath, find it again here. A twist and a back bend, and maybe a lot of gurgles because of the effect that twisting has on your digestive system. And let's come back to center. And we'll go the other way. So twisting to your left, left fingertips behind you, right hand on the outer left knee. Before you go too deep, ground down through both sitting bones, especially that right sitting bone. It wants to scoot forward towards the knees. Don't let it. Press it down into the support beneath you. And from there, lift the spine, find a little back bend from the mid-back, and twist. So if your head's okay, press the head back. And then notice if something feels wrong. Sometimes I can feel a twinge in my neck, like a little electric sensation, and then I know I shouldn't be doing that. I should move my head. I should make sure that my neck is comfortable and it feels like my practice is therapeutic and not potentially harmful. And that's a line we have to find for ourselves in our practice. Find smooth, slow breathing. And even as you hold this shape, just notice right now how much tension, how much pulling and effort that you are involved in. Maybe it's a lot, maybe it's a little, but can you find a little bit of comfort and ease? Is there somewhere you can soften while maintaining the integrity and intention of this shape? And come back to center. Feels good. Let's change the crossing of the legs. I'm going to turn sideways so the YouTube screen can see me better. And here you crawl the hands forward of the legs. Come as far as you can while you keep the buttocks grounded. So don't let this happen. The butt lift up, keep it grounded. It's okay for that low back to round. Fingertips are on the floor, so spider hands. Really, if you don't have long nails, you really want the very tips of the fingers on the floor. Spread the hands a little wider than shoulder distance. It'll give you a little bit more room. And again, we find this back bend. So from the mid-back, it's about the bra line, and gentlemen practicing, you imagine where that might be if you haven't tried a bra on yourself. Reach the sternum forward. Press that mid-back in towards the chest. And then from that location in the spine, can you look up? So we don't want to be crunching the head back. We really want the origin of the head to be in the middle back. And in class today, you might notice that a lot of what we're doing is sort of engaging our body of our own will and volition. Sometimes when you're holding a standing pose, it's just hard. And this type of thing, you could be cheating. You could be not working so hard, and that's fine, honestly. I can't see you. I'm not going to say anything. But in order to work the backside body, there is some effort, some squeezing. And these muscles might be sleepy. They might not have had much work, and you might be like, how do I even do this movement? Because of your connection into these muscles, but you might feel it tomorrow. Okay, walk the hands back in towards the shins and come into tabletop, hands and knees. If your knees are tender, you can use your towel or blanket underneath the knees. Then spread the fingers wide. Hands are shoulder width distance apart. Knees are underneath hips and toes are pointed back. Couple rounds of cat-cow. On your inhale, it's a back bend. Lift the hips, lift the heart. On an exhale, start from your tail. Tuck the tail under and undulate, rounding through the spine. Last thing that tucks is the chin. Continue with your breaths a few rounds. Inhale to come into your cow pose. That's the back bend, a hammock shape. Exhale to move into your cat pose. Spine arches to the sky like a rainbow. Just take one more here. And after you're done with your cat pose, come back to a neutral spine, just a regular tabletop. Now here, hug the low belly up towards the spine and reach the tailbone behind you. Obviously, it's quite difficult to actually move that tailbone, but you'll feel a little wake up in the low belly as you're reaching the tailbone directly behind you. Now, we want to keep this neutral curve to the spine. So keep the low back as it is and just take your cow pose with the upper back. So here, you reach the heart between the arms without letting the low back move down towards the belly. It's kind of similar to what we were doing in the seated pose a moment ago. Try to get that mid back to move forward and up. And feel yourself looking up from the mid back. And come back to a neutral spine. Paw the hands forward, coming into a puppy dog pose. You'll release the chest down towards the ground and the forehead to the earth. My hips are over my knees, so it's not a child's pose, but the hips stay over the knees. Hands can be shoulder width distance or a little bit wider. And now again, this is a position where we can really help to find that back bend. So find the mid back that you've been working with and draw it down and forward towards your fingers to find a back bend. And you might notice for you, it's just very natural. You want to bring the chin down to the floor. And again, that's the looking up from the mid back. Lift your forearms and your elbows off the ground so that the arms are strong and engaged. And breathe in and out. If this is really difficult for you, if you've become uncomfortable, then back out a little bit. Don't try so hard. Don't push so far. Find a place where you can feel comfort, where you're toeing your line. And as such, you just press the walls around your abilities out a little bit further. All right, come back to tabletop, hands and knees. If you've got the blanket underneath you, move it out of the way and come on to your, actually, from hands and knees, we're gonna come into a low lunge. So you might want your books for this, especially if you don't have really long arms. Step the right foot forward between the hands. If you're using books, place them underneath your fingertips. Otherwise, leave your fingertips on the ground. And again, lift the heart. Press the mid back forward and up. Now find your frontal hip points. Lift them up towards the front ribs. Lift the pubic bone up towards the navel. Navel up towards the sternum. Sternum up towards the sky. Then breathe. Smooth breath. And we'll release this side. If you have your hands on your books, you can leave them there, flatten them, come back to tabletop, and change. Left foot forward. Up onto those fingertips, lift the heart. Lift your frontal hip points up towards the low ribs. And pubic bone lift towards navel. Navel towards sternum. Sternum to the sky. Press your mid back forward into the chest. Find that back bend in the hardest to bend part of the back. And breathe, smooth and slow. One thing that makes yoga different from other exercises is the focus on the breath. And if ever you're holding your breath or you can't catch your breath or smooth it down, take a break, find your breath, be in control of your breath, and come back into your practice. And that doesn't mean that the breath doesn't speed up when you're working hard. It does, but it should be smooth and within your control. Flatten the hands on the books or the floor and come back into tabletop. Now you'll move the books out of the way for just a moment and come onto your belly for a Cobra Pose. So the hands will line up along the outer ribs. Don't do anything with your upper body yet. Forehead on the floor. Notice your legs. They're hips width distance apart. And the knees and centers of the thighs point straight down towards the ground. So that might mean you roll your inner thighs slightly up towards the sky. Legs are in neutral. Notice if you're gripping through your buttocks, can you relax your buttocks? And now point your tailbone between the heels, lengthening the low back. We really want to protect the low back in these back bending shapes because the low back is in an arch already, and it tends to take the load. So now press down into the hands. You'll leave your ribs on the ground. As you inhale, just lift the chest. Pull the elbows together behind you, spread across the collarbones, and check back in with your buttocks and your legs. Is the center of the knee and the center of the thigh still facing down? Can you relax the buttocks a bit and reach the tailbone between the heels? One more breath in, and exhale, release. Now find one of your books, the wider book, and place it right here on your butt. Hold on, make your hands like karate chop hands, flat with the fingers together, and then press the book between your hands. Now pull the elbows together behind you. Check in with the low body, buttocks more or less relaxed, tailbone reaching between the heels, and inhale, lift the heart. Now squeezing the book with the heels and palms of the hands, can you lift the book off of your buttocks any amount? This is super hard for me. So take a few deep breaths, or maybe just one. And when you're ready, release. Bring one cheek down to the ground. Get rid of that awful book and relax. Hands underneath shoulders. Come back up into tabletop, hands and knees. We got another round of lunges. Bring the right foot forward between the hands. 90-degree angle this time, knee over the foot. And crawl your hands up onto your right thigh. Inhale to bring the arms overhead. So here, same thing as the other side. Lift your frontal hip points up towards the ribs and stretch the front side body from pubic bone through sternum. Find the mid-back, press it forward towards the chest, and lift your head from that location. Elbows are straight. This is a challenge in balance, arm strength, shoulder strength, back strength. We're opening that left quad, the left hip flexor. It's a lot of work here. Smooth your breath. And slowly, with control, bring your hands to frame the right foot. Come back into your tabletop and change sides. Left foot forward, 90-degree angle, knee over the heel. Then crawl your hands up onto the left thigh and inhale the arms overhead. Now, as long as you can keep your elbows straight, you might bring your palms together to touch. But if that makes you bend your elbows, then skip that. Keep the hands shoulder widths apart or even a little wider. Again, extend the front side of your body, lifting from pubic bone up through the sternum. Press the mid-back forward and look up. Notice what's going on in the low back. Does it feel like you're crunching into the low back? If that's you, lengthen the tailbone down the right leg and find the back bend from the mid-back, from that place where it's the hardest. The low back and the neck, easiest places. Deep breath in, deep breath out. And bring the hands down to frame the left foot. Step back into tabletop and come back onto your belly. So we'll start again with the cobra. We won't use the book again, so no fear. If you liked that, walk around your house doing it standing. It's good work. So check in with your lower body. Tailbone between the heels. Inhale, lift your heart. Breathe here and hold. Keep the ribs down on the ground. Try to soften your trapezius, the upper trapezius. That's the base of your neck, top shoulders. And slowly exhale. One cheek to the side, rest. And check in with your heart rate. Take as much rest as you need. And when you're ready, we'll either repeat that cobra or add on a little. Okay, so up to you what you're ready for today, what your body wants, based on your energy level and your existing flexibility and strength in your back. So we start that same way. Tailbone points between the heels. Inhale to lift up into this baby cobra. Low ribs are on the ground. Check in with that low back. Are you lengthening it by reaching the tailbone? Centers of the thighs, centers of the knees pointing down. If you feel like you should, press down into the hands and just the pubic bone is on the ground now. Unclench the butt. Pubic bone is on the ground, but you are lengthening from the top of the pubic bone across the navel, up past the sternum. Find the mid-back, press it forward. Look up from that place and breathe. Keep the elbows tucking in towards the side of the body. Keep the palms pressing down into the ground. And slowly release. One cheek down to the ground. Rest. I know my heart is pounding. If someone was watching, they might think, you're not working hard. Little do they know. Okay, so you can repeat your cobra one more time, or we'll take this into upward facing dog. So if you didn't come up to the pubic bone variation before, just repeat your cobra, okay? And then we'll all meet back together. So here, tailbone reaches between the heels, buttocks is relaxed. Baby cobra first. Inhale, lift the heart, low ribs on the ground. Now press down into the hands, come up onto the pubic bone. Tops of the feet are down into the earth. They stay down. Lift the thighs, straighten the elbows, and slide your hips forward between the hands. So your hips are moving towards the space between your forearms. You're still pointing your tailbone strongly down the backs of the legs to keep the low back long. Bend the elbows slightly. Draw the heart forward. Mid-back pressing up. In and up. And then from here, come onto the toes and slowly lower all the way down to the ground. Press up through hands and knees, everybody. And we'll find a child's pose. Go slow, and we're rounding. This is a good place to check in with how much attention you've paid to your low back. And if it's feeling achy, that means focus there more. Make sure you're engaging muscles that protect that area. So in your child's pose, make it a relaxing one. Just rest completely. Smooth your breath. You don't have to force it to be incredibly slow, but feel that it's in your control. And take the time that you need. And stay here in your child's pose if you'd like, or we'll find the back bend in our child's pose. I'm sure you see what we're doing today. So come up onto your fingertips and then lift your chest slightly off of your legs. Hands are a little wider than shoulder width distance. And again, mid-back comes down towards the chest and reaches forward towards your fingertips. looking up. A lot of this work, most of this work in fact, is inspired by a teacher called Paul Cabanas. I think I'm saying his last name right. There's a video I can send you on YouTube of a class with a lot of this stuff in it. And one thing he said was let the head and neck be an inspiration for the shape, but move the head and neck from that place in the back that doesn't want to go, that doesn't want to back bend. And find some steadiness and ease even in the shape that you're making. Find breath. Now flatten your hands on the ground. From here we'll come into downward facing dog. So come into your down dog. Toes curled under, hips up high. Knees can bend if you'd like. Just how you regularly do a down dog. And if you're new to down dog, you know, how you imagine it's done. I'll guide you through something in a moment. At any time you can take a rest in child's pose or on your belly or wherever is a rest for your body. We'll be here for a little while. Some arm strength and back strength. Bend the knees and look forward between your hands. Now your palms should be pressed flat on the ground. Bend the elbows slightly and wrap your triceps down towards the ground. You'll feel a lengthening and opening across the sides of the neck. Now again, find that back bend here in your down dog. Kind of like the puppy dog pose, and that's an alternative if you want to do that, where we were on our knees doing something similar here. And those of you that have the mobility, maybe you start to straighten the legs out, but maintain that back bend that we've been working. Breathe. All right, knees bend. Walk the feet to the hands or the hands to the feet. And here we have a couple of options. So for those of you in a tighter body, grab your books or your blocks. Bring them shoulder width distance. And we'll find the back bend here in an Ardha Uttanasana. And knees can be bent. Hamstrings need a little bit of getting into. So even those of you that are flexible, respect the way you feel in your legs right now. And make it more about that bringing the middle back towards the chest and forward, engaging the muscles of the spine and back. Now, if you're in a more flexible body or you've been practicing yoga for a while, you might try Padangusthasana. Feet are hips width distance apart. You take your peace fingers, weave them between the big toe and the second toe, and then hook thumb on index finger. Here you press the toes down into the fingers, lift the fingers up away from the toes, and you'll automatically feel the help of getting your spine to move in the direction that we've been working. So you really pull the toes up as if you're trying to lift the feet, but you press the feet down into the toes. There's a bit of an isometric engagement there. And if you'd like, you can try something like this by holding onto your shins and reaching forward. But with the books, you'll be doing the same thing, pressing down. Imagine you can drag your hands back towards your toes and the heart reaches through the arms. Remember where you're lifting the head from. Those of you that feel ready, maybe you start to straighten your knees. And everybody breathe. If your body's saying, I can't breathe, well then rest, squat, or lay down. Find the breath. Come back. You know, this might look like a very simple practice, but it isn't. And then notice if you're using all your muscles and all your might, and it kind of feels like this. And relax a little while maintaining the structure. All right, if you got the books, let them fall. Everybody swing your hands back behind you so the fingers are beyond the buttocks. Roll the shoulders away from the ground. You'll feel your shoulder blades pulling together along the backside body. Hug the low belly up in towards the spine. Press down into your feet and come to standing. Turn the palms to face forward. Feet hips width distance or together. We're in a Tadasana. You might close your eyes and just notice how it feels to stand with a spine and backside body that is so supportive right now. Or maybe yours is like we're super fatigued. We turned on some muscles, some posture muscles. Perhaps automatically you feel more of a lift in the chest and a spreading across the collarbones. As you inhale, lift your arms overhead. You stay where you are. I'll come to kneeling. So you want those elbows to be straight. And for some people that might mean the arms aren't by the ears. They're further forward until you can straighten the elbows. And then from there, it's from the shoulder blades where you lift the arm as high or as close to the ears as it can come. Now, if your arms are straight and they're near the ears, bring the palms to touch. Elbows stay straight though. If they bend, separate them once more. And then here from standing, point the tailbone down between the knees. Keep the low back long and protected, and we'll take that back bend. So draw the mid back up and in towards the chest, shining your heart and your sternum towards the sky, fingertips still reaching overhead, starting to look up now. Don't go too far back. You don't want to fall over. We're just taking a standing back bend. The fingertips can stay pointing straight up to the sky, or maybe the biceps remain by the ears and they head back with you, but again, maintain your balance and the integrity of your low back. Be able to breathe. Take a breath. Then use an inhale breath to come back up, arms overhead. Exhale, release the hands down by the side. We'll take one round of Surya Namaskar A. We'll bend the knees when we fold forward, because chances are somebody's low back is like, because this is tough work. Inhale, bring the arms overhead. Exhale, bend the knees like chair pose, and then slowly fold forward over the legs. Then let the head hang, and maybe you straighten your knees. Fingertips on the ground or on your books if you can't reach the ground. Inhale, come up halfway. You've been here before. Mind your spine. Exhale, plant the hands and step back plank pose. Knees up or knees down. Your next exhale breath, lower all the way down to your belly and set your legs as you've been working. Slide your hands back by the ribs. Baby cobra. Inhale, lift your heart. Option on a next inhale to come up to your pubic bone or all the way up to upward facing dog. And everybody exhale, make your way to down dog. Let your head hang in the dog. Take one more deep breath. Inhale to prepare. As you exhale, hop or walk your feet forward to your hands. Let your head hang. Use your blocks if you need them. Inhale to come up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana, and find that back bend. Exhale, fold forward. Press down into your feet. Come up halfway one more time, and then swing the arms behind you. Roll the shoulders away from the ground. Press down and inhale to come up. Nice. So now, find one of your books, your sturdiest, widest book. Step your feet apart wide. If you bring your arms out to a T, the ankles are more or less underneath the wrists. But for a little more stability, your feet might be a little closer together. Now from deep within that right hip socket, turn the entire right leg out so the knee points up towards the sky. And then press the left heel into the ground and turn the toes in. This way we maintain the distance we set between our heels. Place your book in your right hand, bend your right knee, and then book goes down onto the floor at the outer right heel. Left hand on your hip. So we're in Untitled Parsvakonasana. We've done this before. Scoop the right buttocks underneath you. So the right buttocks moves forward. You press the knee open into the arm. And then here, remember from the beginning when we took that back bending twist, take that here. You still root into the right sitting bone. That's a sitting bone underneath you. And from there, begin to turn the chest up towards the sky. Press the head back. A little back bend, a little twist. Feel that the hinge from the twist, the rotation begins from a firm and steady right sitting bone. Maybe you bring the left arm overhead, maybe not. It's a lot of weight. If your head hurts, turn to look down at your right foot. Bring the left hand up to the sky. Press down into your legs. Inhale, reach up through your left hand and straighten the right leg. We've got a second side. First, parallel the feet. Then from the left hip socket, turn the left leg out. Lift up the right toes and turn them slightly in. Book in your left hand. Bend into your left knee and then place the book down on the outer left foot. Right hand on the hip. Utthita Parsvakonasana. Now scoop that left buttocks underneath you, and from that pivot point, begin to rotate the chest up towards the sky. A little bit of a back bend, mid-chest moving forward, head pressing back if it's okay in your neck, and maybe the option to bring the right arm overhead. Bring the left arm back up to the right arm, up to the sky. Inhale, lift up to come up. Parallel the feet. If it's difficult to touch the floor, you'll need both of your books now. Bring your hands down to the ground, underneath the shoulders, shoulder width distance apart. If you can't quite reach the floor, but you don't need books because your fingertips reach the floor, that's fine too. We start here by reaching the chest forward between the arms. Mid-back, you know what it's doing. Press down into the feet, bring the inner thighs away from one another. You're engaging through the legs. Inhale. And exhale, come all the way down. Allow your back to round. Allow your head to hang. Fingers should be on something. So use a prop if they can't touch the ground. Maybe that even means you're folding over your couch. Feel beneath the navel from right to left. Can you feel that that area broadens and naturally just kind of sucks up towards your back? And this isn't a pulling or a drawing or a hardening. It's just the allowing of the low back to round. Then check in with the tops of your shoulders. Are they slumping here? Are they down towards your ears? And even though we're rounding, can you lift the top shoulders away from the ears so the neck is long? One more deep breath. We come back to position one. Hands underneath the shoulders and inhale to come up halfway. Pull the heart forward, mid-back, finding a back bend. Bring your hands to your hips. Bring the elbows together behind you. Mid-back, drawing down towards the chest, forward towards your nose. Find that looking up from the mid-back. Now the legs are holding you. The back is super strong. Inhale, come all the way up to standing. If you get lightheaded, head down to the floor until you've regained your blood pressure. So now toe heel the feet. Actually, we're gonna go back out because I want you to do a pretty quick warrior one before heading into the next shape. So feet back out wide. Sorry about that. Turn the right leg out. And now turn the left leg to the right leg so you're facing the right leg. So we've just pivoted to face the short edge of the mat. It might feel like you need to spread the feet further apart from one another in order to help draw the left side hip forward. Bring the arms overhead, and if you can keep the elbows straight and touch palms, do so. Bend into your right knee for a warrior one. Lifting your front hip points up towards the low ribs, extending from pubic bone past navel to sternum. Find your back bend here, either leaving your fingertips pointing straight up to the sky or letting them back bend with you. Press back through the left leg, ground the left heel. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Come out of the back bend, straighten both legs. For an extra challenge, leave the arms where they are. You can relax them for a second. Pivot towards your left, and then all the way over to the right for the second side. Draw your left hip forward and bend into your left knee, or your right hip forward, excuse me. Right hip draws forward, left hip back. Ground through the right heel. Point your tailbone down, not under, but straight down. Lift and extend the front side body as you find your back bend. Breathe. Come out of the back bend. Straighten your legs. Turn to your left and release your hands. Nice. Now we're coming down to the ground, and there will be options. First, we all do bridge. So come to lying on your back, feet hips width distance apart. Tuck your shoulders underneath you. So you might rock to one side and then the other. Find your breath. In and out through the nose. Allow yourself a moment of rest here. Now feel your feet where they're connected with the earth. Press down evenly through the outer and inner edges of the feet. So the pinky toe side of the foot and the big toe side of the foot. Let the inner arches lift. Keep the inner feet pressing down. And as you inhale, lift your hips off the ground. Reach your tailbone between the knees to lengthen the low back. Nothing new here. Inner feet still pressing down, inner thighs rolling down towards the ground. Again, neutral legs like in Cobra. But now we're doing something slightly different with our body. Now, here you have the option to press the palms down into the ground, press the feet down and push them back, push them forward towards the toes to lift your chest and sternum closer towards your chin. Stay here or interlace your fingers underneath your back. Roll the shoulders further underneath you. Inner feet pressing down, inner thighs rolling down, tailbone reaching between the knees, and then coil the mid-back up and towards the sky, towards your chest. Relax the sides of your neck. Relax your throat. Soften your jaw. Soften your tongue. Soften your forehead. Deep breath in. And exhale, release. So you can either repeat that or maybe take your books, bring them underneath your hips, and rest for a moment. If you've had enough. And for those of you who would like to try upward facing bow, which is a full back bend, we can go there. So if you're doing your bridge pose, repeat that, or you can take a few steps towards back bend without pressing up. Okay, so here's how we get into it. We don't do anything rushed in this class. You bring your arms up to the sky, and then bend the elbows and bring the palms down to the ground on either side of your ears with your fingers pointing down towards your feet. I'll say that again. Bring the palms flat to the ground alongside your ears with the fingers pointing down towards your feet. It might be easier to allow the fingers to turn out slightly away from the ears. Now look, keep your head on the ground, but look at your elbows. They're probably falling out to the right and left. Pull the elbows towards one another so that they're stacked right over your wrists. The elbows are parallel. Okay, then from here, we just go up into a bridge pose. It's nothing fancy. So press down into the inner feet and lift the hips. Keep everything else as is. Very important. Point your tailbone between your knees. Okay, keep the inner thighs rolling down. Either stay here, working those elbows to parallel, or the next step is that you come onto the crown of your head. So you lift the shoulders up, bring your head back, and place the crown of your head down on the ground. Elbows still pulling together. Inner thighs rolling down, feet pressing down, and if you want to continue, press down into your hands to straighten your arms. And again, the mid-back is what is back bending here. Tailbone is reaching between the knees to protect the low back. Head hangs off the spine. Arms straight. Press down and forward into your feet. Inhale and exhale. Now bend the elbows, tuck the chin into the chest, and slowly come down. Everybody, if you're on the blocks or the books, bring them out from underneath you. If you've been practicing bridge pose, bring yourself down to the ground. Arms come down alongside the body and breathe. That's Urdhva Dhanurasana, upward facing bow. Now, after a back bend, we want to take a twist. So bring the arms out to a T, palms face up. And if your body is feeling okay, low back I mean, pull your knees into your chest. Inhale here. And exhale, twist the knees to the right, tucking them up towards the right elbow. Now here, lift your right shoulder blade and scoot it to the right so that you can open the chest more evenly towards the sky. You might like to bring the right hand and place it on the left knee. And then tune your attention into your left arm. If that left shoulder is on the ground, reach the left collarbone long away from the sternum. Reach that left arm away from you. Breathe. Maybe turn to gaze over the left arm. We're winding down from here. You got a few seated poses, some forward folds, but you've made it through a lot of the most active practice. Both arms out to a T. Hollow the low belly and bring the knees back to center. Let them drop over to the left, tucking up towards the left elbow. Lift the left shoulder blade, scoot it to the left so the chest can open more towards the sky. And if the right shoulder is on the ground, reach long through the right arm, right collarbone. Maybe you place the left hand on the right leg. Maybe you gaze over the right arm. You definitely breathe. And notice even here as you begin to relax, if there's some place you're like holding on or gripping. It could be your jaw. It could be your left arm. It could be anywhere. Give your body parts permission to let go. Bring both arms back out to a T. Hollow the belly. Knees come back to center. Hug them both into the chest. We've only got a little bit of time left, but we'll roll onto the right side and press yourself up to seated. Find your towel and your strap. And sit on top of the towel as high as you needed. So if you used the blocks earlier to lift yourself up higher, come back onto that. And then straighten the legs out in front of you. I'll turn to this side. Pull the toes back towards the face. Bring the fingertips to the side of the hips, fingers facing forward, and lift the heart. It might be quite a bit easier to sit upright in this shape than it has in the past. If you find that you're rounding, And because of class, you have much more awareness of that. Bend your knees. Take the hamstrings out of the equation and get that lift in the chest. Now, knees bent or knees straight, you'll take your strap and loop it around the balls of the feet. That's right beneath the toes. You can leave the knees bent this whole time. If the legs are straight, fine. And same thing here. We pull the strap with the arms, lift the heart, mid-back moves forward. Find the hip crease. It's right where it's creasing in your pants. And from that place, hinge forward. The back is still straight. It's not rounding yet. We will round in a moment. Reaching the heart towards the toes, spreading the toes and pressing the balls of the feet away from you, resisting the strap. One more breath in. And as you exhale, allow the back to round. Maybe you round and rest on bent knees. Maybe you're still at a bit of a hover, but feel the belly softening. Feel the breath deepening. Allow the mid-back to round. Paschimottanasana. Now we come out reversing the way we went in. So as you inhale, find that back bend we've been working. You'll lift the chest off of the legs, but not all the way up, and reach the heart forward. And then you hinge back up to your L-shaped Dandasana, staff pose. And now from here, just come to any comfortable seat. We'll open the backside body a little more. Arms out to a T. Inhale. And as you exhale, hug right arm on top of the left. Let the elbows fall down. Spread across the collarbones and maybe even round forward here. Keep the throat free so that you can breathe. Allow the head to move if you'd like. Stretches in the sides of the neck. Inhale to lengthen the spine and open the arms. Exhale, other side. Left arm on top. Elbows tucked down. Round forward. You'll feel it, that it's in the right place for you. Spend a few breaths there. As you inhale, you lift up through the spine, open the arms. Exhale to release the hands down by the sides of the body, and we move into Shavasana. So lay down on your back. Any tenderness in the low back, keep your knees bent today. Feet as wide as the mat. Knock the knees together. If that's not comfortable, do what is. Or straighten your legs long, wider than hips width distance. Tuck your shoulder blades underneath you. Let your palms roll face up. And rest. Breathing in and out through the nose. Finding any areas that are still under the impression they need to work and effort. And gently letting them know that they can release and relax. We're right here at the end of class. Please stay for at least 10 more breaths, if not 5 or 15 minutes. And tune in for my yin yoga class this Thursday. Bye.